Hi everyone, welcome back to Polo and Lifestyle Talks. If you're new here, my name is Scarlett. I am the founder and editor-in-chief of Polo and Lifestyle, the London magazine, a luxury lifestyle digital magazine which comes out quarterly. Today's guest is Julien Albertini from New York, and we will speak with him everything around interior design, architecture, and now we will invite his aesthetic group. Hi everyone, hello. Now we will invite Julien that he will come and talk. And if you have questions, just drop them in the comment box.
What's
Hi.
up? Hey Scarlett, how's it going?
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. It's a pleasure to meet you.
How is New York?
New York, I could definitely say it could be better. But
Yeah.
it's good. It's good. You know what happens is with this quarantine, you don't really see so much of what's going on. So because we've been staying indoors, but of course, I mean, it's an unfortunate situation that we're in today. But I think
Yeah.
it's great. We just got to stay positive, spread
Yeah.
positivity, and make sure that we keep everyone safe.
Yeah, that's true. So please, can you introduce yourself and
Of
how
course.
did you started your career?
Of course. So where should I start? So ever since I was a kid, I've always loved experiences first. Before design, it was always experiences. Ever since I was a kid, my mom used to take me to open houses for these
Mm.
like new developments, these new communities that they would build. And we used to check out houses, and it was just a thing that me and my mom used to do on like Saturdays.
Mhm.
And what was beautiful about it is that I used to go into everyone's home and kind of see how they set up things. We did a lot of tag sales and stuff like that. My father also is an architect, so
Ah,
I would
okay,
say
great.
that mixed with my father being an architect, and my father he worked for a firm that was designing Bloomingdale's. So in the early '90s, he was traveling the world. He was designing Bloomingdale's, and as a kid, I looked up to that and I said it's super impressive, and it would be interesting to see if I could potentially get into architecture as well.
Mm.
Um, and so eventually, my father got me an internship. He connected me with this company in New York City called TPG Architecture.
Mhm.
And TPG was a great firm that was working on office design, residential design, commercial design, etc. And ever since then, from 16, I said, let me try architecture. I think it could be super interesting. Let me try to do it in college. So I went to college for it. 2 years while I was in college, I said, I'm not sure if architecture is for me. There was a point in my life where I said, maybe I'm more of a finance guy.
Okay.
So what happened is I left architectural school, and then I went to school for finance. When I was in school for finance, and part of the reason why I went to school for finance was because inside I felt architects, um, the amount of work that they put into a certain project, sometimes you don't realize the the income that you should based on the amount of time that you're putting in. And
Mm.
if you compare that, the economics between that and finance, you would notice that potentially in finance you could make a little bit more money. So I started chasing the money a little bit. But when I got to school for finance, I said I like finance, but it's not my love. I
Yeah.
love architecture,
Mm.
and now that I've learned how to, work finance, start a business, etc., I realized that let me let me focus on building a business. And if you have a good product in whatever business that you start, what you could do is you could charge what you want, and
Mm.
that's going to be the biggest thing that's going to change exactly how I move forward. So at about 18, I started my first company. It was called Crossline Concepts, and it was just basic stuff. I would design fixtures. I would design, like, my friends had some stores, so I would design little stores for my friends, and it started from there while I was in college. And then eventually, by the time I left school, I had a company called Albertini Design. And Albertini Design was designing more like larger stores. My father's company saw my designs, And they're like, I like really like your designs. Why don't you help us co-design some stores? And let's see what you got. So Calvin Klein, Bass,
Yeah.
Van Heusen, Jeffrey Bean, Tommy Hilfiger,
Wow.
Izod stores. I started to do a lot of residential projects.
Wow.
And so all of these things started to kind of build up slowly but surely. And it was good. So after Albertini designed, I said, you know, I'd really like to bring a construction component into the business because I feel like it was an easy pitch to the client. I said, if we're in the door already, we already creating beautiful designs. Why don't we start to say, okay, we could do everything for you. We could do designs, we could do construction, etc. So
Yeah,
we got
right.
into the construction side, and so we started doing design build. So you know, Ludlow Hotel in New York City was a ground up construction with us. We did the facade for one hotel in Central Park.
Okay.
We designed, you know, $1 million kitchens. You know, we did super high-end residential projects, etc. And then now it brings us to Asthetíque. So my ex-partner's son, or a good friend of mine, introduced me to Alina, my partner with Asthetíque.
Yeah.
And this was just as Albertini and Nelson was kind of we were looking to part ways, me and my partner. So as I met Alina, I met Alina in the city. I remember, and she was coming from Russia. She did not live in the States, but she came with this booklet of a company that she wanted to start in the States.
Yeah.
And what happened is I believed in design that a good designer designs the world around him or her, right? So it's not just what they put on paper and what they present, it's how they present themselves.
Yeah.
And Alina exuded that, and I believed in it, and for some reason it was just a click. It just clicked, and you know, I remember after our first meeting, I called her back and I said, you know what? I feel something good. I said,
Yeah.
why don't we try to start a very design-focused firm in New York City, and let's try to do it together. And I think your design style and my design style mixed together would create something really, really beautiful. And that's what we did. So we started Asthetíque in about the summer of 2015. We started, and ever since then, we've just been rocking.
Fantastic. So it was a very good combination then from you both.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And how can you characterize the style?
Okay, our style is I think our style is a very interesting, eclectic, balanced style. And what I mean by that is it's a his and her, because you see masculine tones, you do see feminine tones. But also what you're finding kind of these pops of different cultures. So sometimes we'll throw in a little bit of Middle Eastern design, or sometimes you'll throw in a little bit of like ethnic or African design, or sometimes we put in some brutalism, which is synonymous for in Russia. So we were kind of mixing all these like multinational design styles and putting it together. But primarily, I said our design style would be just an eclectic mix of his and hers.
Nice. And do you have a favorite of all the projects you have had? Well, it's difficult to say, you know.
That's tough, Scarlett. That's tough. they're all our little babies, you know.
They're all special for themselves. But like one, you said, oh yes, that was like, I don't know.
You know what? I would say one of the most special projects is the Y. The Y in Hamovniki in Russia, and why the Y was so good is because it was an interesting platform. So the Y in Hamovniki, for those who don't know, Hamovniki is a residential area part of Russia, and it's like an upscale area. Actually, Ralph Lauren developed one of his first developments that he designed is in that area. So very residential, very upscale. And then there was a new building that was going up, and they asked us to design a restaurant that would be good for all day for all the residents in the neighborhood. And what they meant by all day is a cafe, a casual dining, and then like an upscale dining, all in one platform. So it was a difficult task. and we had 3 different areas. And what we needed to do is we needed to figure out how to make everything look similar, but at the same time make sure that everything felt different at the same time because they had different functions. So yeah, so the Y, I would say the Y in Moscow.
Yeah. How long did it take?
Took too long.
Yeah.
No, it was about, I would say it was about 18 months
Okay.
from start to finish.
Yeah. Okay. But not too bad.
Yes, it's not too bad.
What are the most important design elements? What do you think?
Wow. Really, I think the most important design elements start from your senses. It starts from the 5 senses. Like what you have to, the designer, and kind of what Alina and I do, and what we really focus on all our projects is, again, it's not just what you see. It's about touching every single thing that you could potentially touch. So that's, of course, beautiful design, 1. 2 is, what does the space smell like? What would somebody say when they step into this space, and does this smell go with the design? That's 2. 3 is, what does it sound like? If it's a restaurant, are you able to control the sound in the space so that people could have an intimate conversation when you have 300 people in the room?
Yeah.
What music are you playing? How does that make you feel? The 4th is, of course, how does everything touch? So it's like, what are the textures you're using? Are those textures, does that go with the theme? And this is not just for hospitality design. This is also for residential design as well. So I would say, touching on all the 5 senses is very important for us. And I would say for us, that would be the most important element in design.
And can you share a project you are working right now?
Okay. Yes. I'll share. Okay. What's a cool project? So we have an very interesting project in San Diego, in California. I'll give these clients a shout out because I think it's important to say right now is a difficult time, but we're working on a cool project right now. It's called Live. It's a wellness center, and they have their 1 location in San Diego, but what they want to do is they want to branch out into new locations. So they have a location that's going to be opening up in La Jolla, and they have another location that's going to potentially be opening up in West Hollywood. And it's a really fun project. I think that's a really cool project because, it's difficult to open up something new, and they've taken the chance because they really believe in what they're doing and what they're selling. And Asthetíque gets to kind of flex all of its muscles on this project, meaning we're not just doing the design, we're really designing the whole experience, from the branding, from the scents, the smells, everything in the brand we're designing. But that's one. I think another interesting project that I would really like to talk about is a project that we worked on in Mexico City. It's called Cobalto. It's a coffee brand, and really interesting project. You have 2 beverage guys coming out of Mexico. One of them is the #1 importer of Napa Valley wines to Mexico, the country, and he's pretty much looking to build a Diageo of Mexico, which is like a premium liquor brand. And then his partner Pedro, he owns a coffee brand, and with the coffee brand, he provides curated coffee to some of the best restaurants in Mexico. So he just loves coffee, and he has all these relationships with people in all over Oaxaca, Chiapas, Veracruz. So he's all over the place. But you have these 2 beverage guys that came together, and they said, Starbucks came into Mexico, and all of these outsiders came into Mexico, and they're looking to create these coffee brands, but we feel that no one's really representing Mexican coffee as well as they should. And at some point, Mexico actually was the #1 exporter of coffee in the entire world. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to recapture that and really present something to the world. So they gave us a call. We won the project. And with that project, what we did is we went, Alina and I and the team, we went down to Mexico. We spent some time there. We drank more coffee than anyone should drink. Interesting thing, we went to this restaurant called Quintonil, and with Quintonil we ate, we had ant eggs, which was very strange. Yeah.
Wow.
One of the best things I've ever tasted, but I would never do it again.
Okay.
It's weird. Um, so we, we really just went there. We just consumed as much of the culture as possible in a short period of time. And this is our typical process for a project when we do everything for the brand development, interior design, etc. So we go there, we soak everything in, we come back to the office, we write everything down, and then what we started to do with Cobalto is we started to build the company brick by brick. So what is the name going to be? What are the key points of the company in order to ensure that they touch not only the hearts of the locals in Mexico, but how is this project going to also be able to scale to the United States and abroad? So we had to kind of really understand that, and I think that was part of the reason why they selected us for this project is they wanted to see a company that was multinational. So me and Alina are multinational, and they wanted us to kind of touch all these key points and be able to really bring them to the United States, which was their ultimate goal. So so we designed the interiors, we designed everything. You could check everything out on our website. We're showing that project. So now we're in the process of searching for locations, the first location, because we've completed everything, and hopefully you'll see a Cobalto and be drinking more coffee in the future.
Exciting, very exciting. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to see the finished project.
Yeah, trust me, we are too.
So what would you say, like, did you ever see like the most amazing design? You see, wow, that's so fantastic. Like from in general, like also from the past, from an architecture, for example.
Yes. So one of my favorite places to go is, and we go with the family, is the Bahamas. It's a beautiful place. It's always sunny. But I would say there's three key places that I really like. So for the Bahamas, what they've done is, because the weather is really nice all the time, there's a hotel that we stay at called the Cove, and their lobby, it's not the highest design. Like, there's for sure nicer design, but it's the way they've tied in the lobby to the nature, which is absolutely stunning. So when you're walking into the lobby, you're really walking outside, and it's covered inside, and the ceiling height is about 100 feet to 120 feet in the sky. So you're walking through this like massive, enormous lobby, and you have streams next to you. You have all these things, and all the way at the end of the lobby, you have this beautiful view of the ocean, and it's something that's so inspiring to see, because I'm really drawn by nature, and I love kind of touching the earth in the designs that we do. So I thought it's something beautiful. Another place I would say is in the south of France. There's something very special about the south of France. So we were in Cannes last year, and Cannes is absolutely beautiful. But when you're driving from Cannes to, let's say, Saint-Tropez, you drive past a town called Antibes, which is off the coast as well.
It's absolutely so cute, little but so special.
Yes. I see your photos on your Instagram. You travel a lot.
Yeah.
Yes. I wouldn't be shocked if you were there. So this place called Antibes, you're driving past the coast, and you have this. There's something so charming about. First off, Europe is this absolutely stunning, but it's the way that Europeans have been able to balance a modern lifestyle with things that were like centuries old, and there's something so beautiful about that. So I would say one of my favorite places and favorite designs in general really is going to like the south of France and seeing how they've kind of mixed these two worlds of designs together. We stayed at the Hotel de Paris in Monte Carlo, which is absolutely stunning. It's great design. But yeah, so it's a couple of places I could talk for hours about what I love, but yes, I would say south of France, the Bahamas.
Yeah, no, beautiful places, and I think also like nature is also one of the most beautiful designs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And where do you work usually on your project? Like, is it more at home, in the office, or do you have a special place? Yes, the office is one place, but I would say somewhere special. It's actually
some people may think this is strange, but it's actually my bed. It's
Okay.
actually I'm a night crawler, so it's like I sleep late and I wake up early, so I like to work until like 2, 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And really, it's like some of the best ideas I feel like is when everything's super quiet. There's no emails coming in,
Mm,
everyone's sleeping,
mm,
and you're able to really focus on like what's interesting and everything's quiet. And I think that that allows your mind to start to explore like really really cool things. So yeah,
ah, that's interesting. I
yes.
think also as a fashion design, I don't know, was it Valentino or someone also, his best creations he did from his bed.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, interesting.
yeah. Do you discuss your work with other designers usually?
Sure, sure, sure. I think design is meant to be shared.
Yeah.
And really the design world that we live in is started from one, right? If you really think about design, everything started from one. And then everything was then built from that one thing. So say the first house, the house was X. And then we took the house and we started to adapt the house design based on location, based on functionalities, based on so many different things. So I think that it's important for designers to not feel so like, oh, this is my idea, this is my idea. I think
Yeah.
what's more important is to share it. You have to, of course, market yourself because there's two parts of design. Of course, there's being a designer, but then there's owning a design business, which is
Yeah.
people really should understand that there's a difference between the two. So owning a design business side, if I wear that hat right now, it's you should market yourself and make sure that people see your uniqueness and kind of feel that you are creating things that are new. But on the other side, being a designer, it's just like, yes, look at my design, look at, share it with the world, be proud of it, be excited, and let people feed off of you. They say imitation is the best form of flattery. So if someone's imitating you, that means it looks good, right?
Yeah, that's true. What advice you have for the next generation, particularly for those hoping to follow in your footsteps?
Okay. Advice. Oh, this
Mhm.
is a long list. No, no, but
So everyone get a pen and paper to write it
yes,
down.
exactly. All the designers get a pen and paper. So, what are some advice? Okay, so I think one of the key things that I just said before is that there's a difference between being a designer and owning a design business.
Yeah,
So, when you own a design business, you really need to understand not only just how to be a good designer, but you have to understand accounting, you have to understand marketing, you have to understand excellent, absolutely excellent customer service skills, because in the end of the day, um, dependent on the project, what you need to do is you need to make sure that if it's a residential project and you have a couple that you're dealing with and the couple disagree, you have to
yeah,
understand how you could assist in that situation because um, time is money, and you need to make sure that everyone's able to make decisions fairly quickly. Um, and so that's very important. When it's right, like let's say if it's a hospitality or commercial project, you have certain deadlines, and the deadlines need to be met because there's certain finances that need to be met in order to make this project profitable for the
yeah.
end user. So for the client, so it's important to kind of manage that. And I would say one of the most important things is managing expectations from a
Mm,
project because sometimes as a designer and you're owning a design business, you want to give the client as much as possible. You want to make them happy, right? But I think what's also important is telling them the truth. If a client comes to you and says, "I want to open up this new restaurant and I want to do it in 2 months, 3 months," and you feel that it's not possible, you need to tell them that, and you need to be like, "Listen, based on my experience, it's not possible to do this."
mm,
And don't try to be so much of a people pleaser because what's going to happen, and I'm speaking from experience because we all make mistakes and we all learn from them, is that
of course,
you
yeah.
need to, when you're honest, they're going to appreciate that more in the future. And there's one quote that I always like to say. It's a lie is good in the beginning but worse at the end, but a truth is bad in the beginning but it's better in the end. So
Yeah,
if you tell the truth, they may not like it immediately, but in the future, they're going to appreciate it. They're going to say, you know, this guy is, he's being honest, he's being truthful to me. And that's someone I would like to work with. I don't need someone to just say yes, 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 yes. I want to work with somebody that's telling the honesty and the truth. And then on the other side, if you lie to them, what happens is you may fumble and you may slip up, and eventually they're going to be like, you know, you said that this could be done and it can't be done, and now I'm upset, and now I'm over budget, and so on and so forth, and it's never good. So manage expectations is very, very important. And I would say the last bit of advice is, as a designer, when you're finding inspiration, try to not find so much inspiration from other design projects. Try to find inspiration from objects. That's like something that we do, and I really like to focus on myself, is that I'll look at a vase and I'll design a house around a vase. I'll look at, you know, there's a project that we did in New York City that I looked at, I believe it was a dresser. It was an old dresser from First Dibs, which is a great website. And it was this beautiful antique dresser. And I looked at it and I said, you know, the forms in this would look beautiful if you were to explode it and make it into maybe a feature of a home. And like little bits and pieces. And I started to kind of build this rooftop addition we were working on in the city. And you know, everything started to come together. So and the project was really unique because I wasn't taking kind of the cues and the inspiration directly from another project. I was taking it from a small bit of detail. So if designers out there, I think that it's very important to, Pinterest is okay. We don't like to use Pinterest in the office. We kind of tell our team, don't use Pinterest because you'll get lost in those designs. There's good designs for Pinterest, but what happens is if 95% of the industry is on Pinterest, you're going to start to look like 95% of the industry. If you want to be the 5%, that's not. Yes.
You want to stand out and be unique. So
100%. Now, listen, Pinterest is a great company. If you want to use it, that's okay. But I would say limit it as much as possible, and try to find other means of inspiration. I think it's always good.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Very well said, Julien.
Thank you. Thank you.
So everyone who's interested in interior design architecture, they can go to your website, astheticgroup.com, right?
Yes. Actually, so we dropped the group, just like Facebook dropped the. So it's not the Facebook. so it's just Asthetíque. So that's ASTHETIQUE.com.
Okay.
Yep.
Fantastic. So thank you so much for today, and it was a pleasure to talk to you and to see your story, your passion, and to have like a background story from you. And I think it's amazing what you do, and I saw already some projects on your website which really look fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to your new project.
Well, Scarlett, honestly, it's been more than a pleasure. You've been very, very gracious, and I appreciate you asking these questions. And I'm happy to share this with the world. This is the first time that we've done this. You're the first.
Oh, really?
Yes, you're the first.
Great.
So it was more than a pleasure, and I feel like during a time like right now where people are inside, I think it's important for Asthetíque to kind of step out and start to speak out to the world and start to tell people more about like what we do and so on and so forth.
That's true. So thank you so much, and I wish you a fantastic day.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Ciao. Bye.
Bye-bye. Ciao.
Thank you everyone who tuned in today's Polo and Lifestyle Talks with Julien Albertini. We talked about interior design, architecture. You can go to his website asthetic.com, and I will see you in our next Polo and Lifestyle Talks next week. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Ciao.